How's it going, everybody? Rino Dabbit here, and how you doing? Good? Good. Alright, we're gonna do some kind of a last-minute banlist prediction here before it gets unleashed tonight. At least I think it'll be tonight, because, midnight, marks tomorrow. So I think that's the way it's gonna work. Anyway, when the ban list gets unleashed tonight, I'm really hoping to God that it just punishes these godforsaken dragons, because they're literally just the goddamn bane of my existence. They're also the reason that I don't make as many videos this format, because it was just not fun to play against at all. Anyway, the way we're going to go about this is we're going to go from banned to limited to semi-limited to limited. Pretty straightforward. Let's get moving. So for banned cards, I'm going to start off with the painfully generic duo that you've all seen on every other list ever. So that basically means that the only cards worthy of getting banned are dun-da-da-da, drumroll please, blah blah blah, 6 cents and return. 6 cents is something I'm feeling a little iffy about though, because this card is so young and it hasn't done much. I mean, not hasn't done much, it's done a shit ton. It hasn't had much time to be used. I'm more leaning on the side. No, I'm not more leaning on the side. I'm just leaning on two sides, to be honest, but I'm leaning on the side of 6 cents staying at 1, because I remember back about 2 or 3 formats ago when Inzectors and Windups were running rampant throughout the format, just fucking everybody up with the loops that they had and everything like that. And just when we thought that ban list was going to roll over and just punish them with Konami's rusty ban hammer of death, no. We had to stare at them just killing our hands and making life just horrible for a whole nother format before that problem was finally fixed. And remember that this was before the new thing Konami has been doing with the ban list, where it's like 4 or 3 months now, or I think it's 4. So basically, imagine that with 2 more months tacked on. However, on the other hand, I think there is a great chance for the card to get immediately banned, because the same thing happened last format to Public of Judgment. So I'm really torn about what's going to happen to this card, but if I had to say my final thought, the card will most likely get banned. That just seems to be the most logical thing, because that card is just way too unhealthy for the game. The way I see it, most luck cards, any luck-based card that involves a die roll, anything like that that just has a really sacky effect to it, that card needs to get banned immediately, because it can just make a game all the more frustrating, because you could be totally winning that game, and then all of a sudden it's just downhill from there. It's not fun. Anyway, Return from the Different Dimension is the other card that I think is guaranteed to get banned, because that card is simply put unnecessary. Let me explain if you aren't in the know of the thing that's been happening for the whole format. Anyway, a game the Dragons would normally be about to lose can and will be most likely stolen just by flipping return, paying half their life points by a relevant number, because they're probably at like 600 by this point. I mean, granted that it's late game, I don't know. And then they're just gonna flood their field with Red Ox upon Blaster, Tidal, Tempest, etc., Debris Dragon, make a Star Eater, you get the idea, and just ruin the game that you would have won with a normal deck in any normal matchup, anything like that. But no, Return is just there to just destroy everything. So I think that retardedness alone merits that card a huge ban forever. That card will never come back, because that card is just too broken, too sacky. It's not even luck-based, besides the whole luck that involves you drawing it, which isn't really lucky at all, because if you've been playing the game long enough, you would know that a card that's a 1 for some reason shows up in your hand more than a card that's a 3 for no reason at all. And I'm pretty sure most former Hero players know what I'm talking about with Stratos, because I used to open Stratos just about every game ever, and that is really weird. In fact, I'm actually going to lose the match that you're watching right now to Return. Spoiler alert. Anyway, now it's time for the cards that I want at 1. And if you don't know me, and you haven't watched me back in the day, you know I have a giant boner for heroes. See how this is kind of segueing into the next card? Yeah, I really want back Elemental Hero Stratos, and this isn't even biased from me. Hero literally would have done nothing this format, because Dragons were too good. Do you hear me? They would have done nothing. Hero didn't even do anything before they banned, like, any Stratos, anything like that. They would have done nothing. And nothing before that at all. Nothing would have happened, ever. Nothing, nothing, nothing. And I don't understand what they were thinking. What were they afraid of? Because the only reason that Heroes would be topping is just because it was some kind of stroke of luck that, like, once every, like, 5 events or 3, we would have, like, one Hero deck make it top into, like, the top 16. Not even, and if they were lucky, the top 8. There were never a Hero deck, ever, that had ever gotten first place last format. So I don't understand what Konami was smoking, and I really hate them for that because they killed one of my favorite decks of all time that I really hope I get to play again once this ban list comes into play. So you listen to me, Konami, and you listen well. Bring back Stratman. Come on, it's the holidays. Anyway, the next cards are going to include all 4 Dragon Rulers. All of them need to go all of them need to get put back to 1, because I definitely see what Konami was going for with making an archetype of monsters that aren't actually supposed to be used together, but in the sense they fucked up on that, and they fucked up really hard, because the whole point of it was that they were supposed to be put in archetypes separately for a specific attribute. Like Tempest goes into a wind deck, Blaster goes into a fire deck, you get the idea. So they just didn't do it right. So the only way that this deck could ever be healthy for the game is by putting them back to 1, because then they won't be abused as hardly as they have been, and it's something that should have been done a long time ago. And they should really just support other archetypes, such as Harpies, Geargia, Gadgets, Boxers, Madolche, etc. You get the idea. So yeah. Now, I would love to be generous and put them at 2, but then they would still be super viable, and I don't want to kill Dragon Ravine because that card is integral to Dragoonides, which is a deck that it should belong to, because then the deck would be totally dead, and that's not very good for the format now, is it? Oh, Sinister Serpent can come back too, because that card does nothing. So yeah, let's get going on to the cards that we want back at 2. Now, there's a decent handful of cards that I want at 2, so we're just going to jump right in. Dimensional Fissure can go back to 2, not macro. D-Fissure is much more balanced in the sense that it doesn't banish everything, i.e. exceeds material, spells and traps, stuff like that. And this basically means that now one player can side in 2 D-Fissure and 1 macro, which in itself is like running 3 D-Fissures or macros, however you imagine it, in the same side deck, which is really good because it lets you get an upper hand against Dark World, because that deck is probably going to see some play this format with dragons out of the way. So we need something to counter that, and putting D-Fissure up by 1 more would not be a bad idea. So yeah, that's how I feel about D-Fissure. Abyss Sphere can go back to 2 because that card is broken, enough said. Hysteric Sign can go back to 2, can go back to 2, can go down to 2 for the same reason. It's just too good to be at 3. Searching 3 cards is not healthy. I wouldn't know that because I've been playing Harpies now for like a month, and that is just really, really difficult for the opponent to bounce back against, especially if you can do it twice, at least twice in the game. And that's really all you need, because like just popping 1 Hysteric Sign is almost a win condition. Anyway, since I said that Stratos can come back to 1 means that Destiny Hero Malicious, E-Call, and A Hero Lives, all of those need to get semied for obvious reasons. And also, we can have Glad Beast Bestiari come back to 2 or 3. It doesn't matter. That card won't do anything. Moving on. Vanity's Emptiness is something else that I see going to 2 for now. But it will probably creep its way down to being at 1 or banned, because that card puts in a lot of work. That card is a game changer. Like, it's not even funny. You can chain that to Return and then swing for game. So I think killing Return and then handicapping Vanity's Emptiness is a good thing for Konami to do for the format, because it's not making dragons any better, and it's not making all the decks any better either, because Vanity's Emptiness is either your kryptonite or it's the best thing ever, depending on what deck you play. The last cards that should go to 2, in my opinion, are Spellbook at the Master and Spellbook of Secrets, just because they make the deck like Prophecy a lot faster, and they put Secrets of Master to 2. That would be a really subtle wound that they can recover from, but it will take more skill to overcome, because the problem wasn't Fate. Fate is a good card because it doesn't target, but the thing is that the reason that it was good is because they could search it easier with Blue Boy and Secrets, and copying Secrets' effect with Master. So putting those cards back a little bit makes it a little more easy to deal with. Cards to go back to 3. TG Striker. That's all. Literally, that's it. Nothing more, nothing less. There is nothing else that needs to go back to 3 that would be healthy right now for the format. So yeah, that's how I feel about the ban list right now. Of course, I'm probably about to get proven wrong in the hour or so that the ban list comes up. I don't even know, probably like 2 hours. I'm recording this right now at like 9:20. Yeah, I planned to record it earlier. I'm not going to get into that though. Anyway, guys, Feel free to tell me any cards that you think should be mentioned in the comments below. Remember to add my friend code on your 3DS because Pokemon shenanigans are really fun to do. Like my Facebook page, that's also in the description. Like the video, and of course subscribe. See ya. Stay classy.